It's me, MC of Healthy by George. Join me here every Thursday and Sunday. Today, we're going to talk about how to refresh for the new year. So think about subscribing. I'd love to see you here.
Welcome to Healthy by George. I want you to know that this is for informational purposes only, and it should not be considered as medical advice, nor does it have anything related to my employer. So it's always best for you to check with your own medical provider before you do anything that I recommend or for any medical treatments. So please join me, hit that subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode.
So what do I mean by refresh for the new year? I don't know about you, but maybe I've indulged a little more than I normally would have during this past holiday season, or even on the New Year's Eve festival, had a little more champagne than I had planned, or decadent food, rich in fat and sugar. All of those things that are so tasty and yummy that we love to try out during the holidays. And so now we're thinking about ways that we can get back on track, refresh, rejuvenate, and maybe restrict in some ways our ways of being so that we can kick off the new year thinking of ways to improve who we are, both physically and mentally. And many things that people consider besides exercising, which I think everyone's all about, let's go join a gym, is fasting. I think fasting is something that has become more and more present in our culture. And while it's been something that's a practice that's been in religious and spiritual practices for a very long time, I think the scientific world has now learned that fasting can be quite beneficial for our bodies and our brains. When we practice abstaining from fluids for a certain period of time, we've learned that this helps our bodies rejuvenate. There's this process called autophagy, where it's like a cleansing of our cells. When we really give ourselves a break of eating and consuming foods, our body goes into this natural process of repair and restore. And it's like a combination of sleep as well, but it's a different process. It's like putting our gut to sleep. If you want to explore fasting, one of the most popular ways is something that's called an intermittent fasting. And this really means alternating periods of eating and not eating. And for me, I've done this for a long time where I don't eat my first meal until around 1, and I will only consume food from like 1 to 7 p.m. and stop at 8, and then I won't eat again until the next day. So I think that's like a 16 and 8. That's what the most common one is, a 16 and 8, 16 hours where you're not eating anything. Maybe you're just drinking some water. And then 8 hours where you are going to consume a couple of meals and maybe a snack. So that's one way to go about it. There's also one that's called a 20 and 4. So many people don't eat for 20 hours, and then they pick a 4-hour period where they're going to have a meal. Maybe it's social, a snack or something, and then they don't eat anymore. So, there's lots of ways to do this. Some people will also do something where they do a 24-hour, maybe twice a week. They don't eat on from Sunday night till Tuesday morning. And then they may do that again, maybe Thursday night until Saturday morning. Some people mix it up and keep it different because they're finding things that make them feel better, both mentally and physically, when they fast. So I think you should explore it. And to me, the easiest one is the intermittent fasting. Other ways that you can do it is just really time restricting, and it can be anything. People can do something that's simple. Maybe you do 14 hours not eating, or 12, and do 12 hours where you're just fasting. Being conscientious about when you're choosing to eat and when you're choosing not to, and where you can consume more fluids. The other one is a complete water fast. And this is where you've made the decision where you're only going to consume water for 24 or 72-hour periods. You really need to think about talking to your doctor if you're going to go beyond 2 or 3 days of just consuming water, because this issue of electrolytes is important. Also, if you have any underlying conditions such as diabetes or prediabetes or anything like that, you definitely you need to consider what really you need to think about doing, because sometimes it's not okay just to drink plain water. Maybe you need to drink something with a little electrolytes in it, with some salt or some kind of a something, so that your body has at least some of the basics, so that you don't go into some kind of a problem physically. That, I think, is the key. There's also people who are very rigid. I think they do either a complete fast, no food or water. And there's also these ways of doing what they call alternating. Maybe they do a day where they do only a low-calorie day, and then they do it combinations with intermittent fasting. There's all kinds of ways that you can explore fasting. Some people will eat normally for a couple of months, and then they'll do a 5-day fast where they only consume water for 5 days. Or if you're doing it for spiritual reasons, sometimes it's the Ramadan period we all learn about for Ramadan, where they don't eat from dawn to sunset, and they do that for an entire month. And they abstain from food and drink and other things. In Lent, we know after Christmas we have Easter coming, and so there's 40 days of maybe abstaining from certain foods for 40 days, or making some kind of a giving up something. The Jewish have Yom Kippur, where they fast for a 25-hour period. I mean, there's all kinds of fasting practices that I think the Hindus abstain from certain foods for 9 days. I think there's also the one that's called the Daniel fast, where it involves you only drink and you only eat fruits and vegetables and water for a 21 or 30-day period. You avoid eating any kind of sweets or meat or alcohol during the fast. And you just are going to be more mindful about how you're eating food, how you're consuming calories. I think many people who go beyond 72 hours should always speak to their medical professional. It's not safe sometimes to do more than 5 days of pure water. You really have to think about yourself. Many people, once they get past that 3rd day, they feel ecstatic and they feel so energetic, and it's like a revelation. And so you can get down that fasting path once you get past that period of being very hungry. Plus, you really need to know how to go back into eating after you've been on a 3 to 5 day fast. That's when you need some medical professional guidance to give you some suggestions of how to start introducing foods and what feels safe and good for you. I know that there is a new practice that's called a mimicked fast, which is fascinating to me. This is where scientists have found like the minimal calories that you can take in very small portions of some specific foods and be on a prolonged fast for maybe 5 to 7 days, depending on what you want to accomplish. And I think someone has made it into a package called Prolonged Diet. Very interesting. You can purchase these packages and do a focused, it's concrete. I think that helps people when they have something tangible, if they're trying this for the first time and they're hesitant to not eat anything. I know for me to not eat anything each day is a little bit of a trigger. I'm one of those people who gets a lot of satisfaction on crunching things down, like a crunchy stuff or chewing. I enjoy chewing. I can't just totally not chew. I don't mind doing the intermittent fasting for a 12 or 18 or 20-hour period in a day, but sometimes I can't do those 24 or 48 hours. I've never been somebody who, I don't know, that just it never sits right with me. But maybe this is something that people really do brag about it, because when they tell me how they have come off sugar, it's helped them with having a little bit better discipline around their food choices. And fasting to me is really about offering our bodies a cleansing opportunity. It creates that autophagy, which is our cells repairing and cleansing. It's giving our body a rest, which we are. We're giving it a rest from processing the food that we consume. So as you get ready to prepare for this year, consider fasting. Think about some of the things that you could do with exploring fasting, giving your gut a break, and rejuvenating yourself both mentally and physically. Be well, my friends. Please do something to broaden your horizon about longevity for you as we go into this year of 2025. And join me here on Thursdays and Sundays on YouTube. Talk to you later. It's MC of Healthy by George.
So thank you so much for joining me at Healthy by George. I hope you found the information inspiring and that it encourages you on your wellness journey. Because remember, your body, your well-being are a most precious gift, and every tiny action taken daily can make a huge difference. I hope the information here is educational purposes and is not meant to replace your medical care. See your doctor and talk about what works for you. If you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Your support means the world to me, and it helps me continuing creating content that inspires and empowers you to live your best life. Goodbye for now, and join me again at the next Healthy by George.